Hey guys, I'm back today with a new toy review of the Dark of the Moon Leader Class Ironhide. Really great figure. I'm so glad I finally found one. It's taken forever. I'm sure there's lots of other reviews out there by now of this figure. But I finally got one, so you get to see it. I'm hoping I don't miss anything. There's a lot of stuff to cover on this guy, so let's go ahead and get started and see if I can remember everything. First of all, let's give him a height measurement. Just about 10 inches tall. Pretty good size. He's a really nice size. He's a little bit taller than the Leader Class Bumblebee, a lot bulkier. He has very little backpack, so it's kind of cool. I mean, obviously there's a little bit there, but there's not a lot, so it's fine with me. I like that. He's got really good sculpt overall. He's got good shape for Ironhide. There are a couple problems. Now, as great as the figure is, if I didn't point out the problems, this wouldn't be a good review. So take those into consideration when you're picking it up, even though I'm going to say pick it up anyway. It might bother you enough, so just keep an ear open, listen to what I have to say about these couple problems. First problem I have, the head has no articulation at all. It doesn't move. You cannot rotate the head, which obviously would be better if you could, but as nice as it looks, I'm willing to forgive Hasbro for doing that. Next thing, which isn't a bad thing, this is a good thing. The head doesn't rotate because it moves. The mouth moves down, and then the eyes light up. Now, I know we could have had light up eyes without that, but with the mouth moving and everything, I guess they just couldn't do it. The eyes light up really nicely. I don't know if it's showing up because of all the lighting I have right now, but they do light up. I'm not so sure. I think the mouth is the whole thing is supposed to move like that. I thought just the bottom part was, but that's the way they made it, so whatever, that's okay. While we're talking about electronics, he also has this really cool feature in his chest. You can either push down on this thing here or pull down on this piece here, and his chest opens up with a nice gun and some lighting and sound effects. That's pretty cool. There's one light in there that lights up red, so when the thing spins, it's where the ammo would be coming out. So that's kind of cool. Another one of the problems I have with this figure, his upper arms are just kind of wimpy, which is okay. It's not really a big deal, but it's something you might want to consider. It doesn't bother me, but it is there. Next problem, the wrists don't rotate. Neither wrist has any movement at all. The arms do have a swivels there, and at the lower part of the elbow, but the wrists don't rotate, so it's something to think about. Last problem I have with this figure is robot mode. The legs, which is really two problems in one. The first problem with the legs is the paint job. This turquoisey blue cobalt color doesn't look good. Doesn't look good at all. It should be silver or gray or black, something like that. I'm pretty sure the actual model is silver, so that's what they should be. They don't have enough paint on them. Everything else has a decent amount of paint. The legs are relatively bland and blue, so they don't look good. The last part about the legs is they are ratcheted, but there's a big gap in between the ratchets, so they have a lot of play, which makes the figure really difficult to stand sometimes. His legs always want to pop out to the side, so if you have to kind of put one in like that, which makes him stand a little bit off center, but it does help him stand. Okay, let's get into the articulation, then the paint, and then some of the really cool other features. First things first, like I said, there's no head articulation, there's no waist articulation. The shoulders have a ratcheting, like ball joint type thing, so they have full motion there. There's a pivot in the bicep, or swivel in the bicep. He's got the elbow joint in there, so a lot of motion there. And then there's another swivel, pivot, whatever you want to call it, in there at the forearm, so that's cool. Hips are regular ratchet, joints forward, back, side to side, all the usual. Like I said, they are nice and tight, but there's a lot of play in between the tight spots, so it's not the best. His left leg has plenty of knee articulation. His knee goes almost 90 degrees. His right leg has a lot less, and I'll show you why in a minute, but that's all it has, just that one notch. The ankles have good movement. The toes have good movement. Ankles move forward all the way, back pretty good distance. And they have the inside-outside pivot too. So a lot of good articulation on this guy. He's really a nice figure overall. There's just those few things that bug me about him. Let's talk about the paint app. Upper half of the body is really nicely painted. It could have more, obviously, but as we know, Transformers don't usually have that much paint on them. At least in this line, anyway. So it looks good for what it is, though. It's definitely got enough. There's enough variation in the plastic to make him look good. I don't have any complaints on the upper body. The lower body, we already covered that. Doesn't look that great. The sculpt is really good. His face is good. You can kind of see, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick it up with the camera, some wires inside of his, underneath his head, inside of his torso. So that's kind of not so cool. I don't know if you can see him. I think it's in there. But it's not terrible, so I can live with that also. Plus, he's a Transformer, so who cares? He can have wires. One of the really cool things is that both of his arms have Mech Tech stuff inside, which everybody knows IRONHIDE should have. First one, that flips open, and this gun comes out and expands. It could have been hidden a little better, I guess. Once it opens up, this piece doesn't need to stick out there. But he does have a gun there that comes out of his forearm. There you go. Pretty cool looking gun, good enough. This piece is really loose though. When you close it, put the gun away, it doesn't stay closed. So that could be better, but it's another thing that I don't really mind, especially when you keep the gun out, it's not too loose. So that's cool. You can pose him with that, as long as you don't pop his arm off. This one is even better. You pull on the smokestack here, and the gun comes out. This one's much more concealed, much better looking, just better overall, but looks really cool still. He also has two Mech Tech ports on the top, one right there and one right there, so he can hold other people's guns, or even, I guess, his own gun, which I'll get to in a second. Each of his legs has a weapon inside of it also. A lot of good stuff hidden, and they're all hidden very well. Opens up, you get his dagger out. I don't know if he's going to have this in the movie, but it is cool for him to have it in the toy. Nice little silver dagger. Doesn't look the greatest because it doesn't have, it has the 3 holes in it to hold it on, but they did include that, so I can't really complain. If you don't like it, you can leave it in the leg, perfectly hidden. His other leg conceals a gun that you can either leave in the leg because it's perfectly usable in there, or it pops out and he can hold it like a regular gun, no problem. It does fire, and it also fits in the Mech Tech ports, so that's cool too. A lot of nice little things with this figure. The gun in the leg, the knife in the leg, the 2 guns in the arms. Everything's hidden very well, and it looks really good. Let me do this. There we go. Alright. So, like I said, there are a few problems, but with all the good stuff that's going on in this figure, it's easily my favorite Dark of the Moon figure up to this point. We'll see when the Jetwing Prime comes out, or the other ones if I can find them. The other Primes, I'm going to get all of those too. So we'll see how those turn out. But as far as this one goes, it's really great. He's got great proportions overall. Just looks really good overall. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. Despite all the problems that he does have, he's still that good, so he's going to have a 9 out of 10. I'm going to get him transformed, and I'll show you and review the vehicle mode. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for more reviews. In the meantime, keep collecting.